In this lesson, we're going to discuss password security. Password security is a measure of the effectiveness of a password in resisting guessing and brute force attacks. In its user form, password security is used to estimate how many attempts an attacker who does not have direct access to the password may receive to guess it correctly. For us to create our password policies, we're going to use the group policy editor. I'm using a Windows 11 machine here on a local computer network that is not part of a domain. Using a domain environment, you can use your global policy orchestrator, but for a local machine, we're going to stick with the local group policy editor. Now, to do this, we're going to simply search gpedit in the search bar at the bottom. Now on the screen, we just need to go to the computer configuration setting at the top, and then we're going to click the Windows setting. Next, we're going to go to the security settings, account policies, and then password policy. Now, you'll see that there are several different settings here that relate to the 5 characteristics that you need to consider when managing your organization's password policies, including password length, password complexity, password reuse, password expiration, and the password age. First, we have the password length. The longer a password is, the harder it will be to crack. For best security, your password should be at least 12 to 16 characters in length. After all, the longer the password, an attacker will have to test a lot more different passwords, which will ultimately slow down their ability to compromise your password. For example, if we use the simple 7-letter word of pencils as our password, this will only take about 0.4 seconds to crack it in a modern laptop. But if we were to change it to something like pencils are for writing, then now that's 20 characters, and it would take about 2 months if we were conducting a brute force attack on a modern laptop. Length is an important characteristic of a strong password because every additional character exponentially increases your password security. For example, let's take this simple example of creating a PIN to protect your smartphone. Most smartphones will let you set a PIN either 4, 5, 6, 7, or 8 digits in length. If we opt to only use the 4-digit PIN, we only have 10,000 possible combinations, ranging from 0000 to 9999. This is because a PIN can only have the digits 0 to 9, which gives us 10 options per digit chosen. So, if we choose a 4-digit PIN, we have 10 times 10 times 10 times 10, or 10 to the 4th power, or 10,000 options. If I simply add one more digit to the chosen 5-digit PIN, I will have increased the password length by just 1 digit, but now I have expanded my options from 10 to the 4th power to 10 to the 5th power, or 100,000 choices. If I continue to add another digit, each digit will add 10x more choices for us. So if we opt for the maximum PIN size of 8 digits, this gives us 100 million choices. Now you can see though, even though we've only doubled our length from 4 to 8 digits, we actually increase our possible PIN choice from 10,000 choices to 100 million choices, which is 10,000 times more options by simply adding 4 more digits to our password length. This is why we say increasing length is increasing your security. For this example, we will set it to 14. To adjust it to higher than that, we must change the relaxed minimum password length limits, which is there to help with compatibility and legacy systems. We'll simply go to minimum password length, 14, apply. Now, just to point out what was I referencing about the relaxed minimum password length, there's this option here. And if you read it, it has a little warning note saying modifying this setting may affect compatibility with clients, services, and applications. So in order to change this, you must enable it. Now, when you enable it, it allows you to increase the password length beyond the 14 characters. And if you click this explain, they give you more details here. Second, we need to consider the password complexity. Password complexity refers to the use of a combination of uppercase and lowercase letters, numbers, and special characters in the password. The more complex the password, the harder it will be to guess using a brute force attack. If we use a PIN, we only have 10 character choices that we can use for each digit of the PIN, because each digit can either be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9. So if I use a 4-digit password only using numbers, then I have 10,000 possible choices, or 10 times 10 times 10 times 10. Now, if I wanted to use lowercase letters instead and still use a 4-character password, I would have 26 letter options for each character, or 26 times 26 times 26 times 26, which equals 456,976 choices. So just switching from numbers to lowercase letters gives me more than a 40x the number of possible 4-character passwords. But if we add in uppercase, we move the 26 choice options to 52 options per character. For a 4-character password, this gives us 52 to the power of 4, or 7,311,616 choices, which is now 731 times more options than our original 4-digit PIN. But in most of our modern authentication systems, we don't just use letters or numbers. We use lowercase letters, uppercase letters, numbers, and special characters. This means that we have 26 lowercase letters, 26 uppercase letters, 10 numbers, and usually around 10 special characters like the plus sign, minus sign, period, exclamation point, hashtag, asterisk, and things like that. So if we use all 4 of these character types, we no longer just have 10,000 combinations using our 4-digit numeric password, but we can now have a password like A capital W 3+, which is considered to be complex since it has lowercase letter, an uppercase letter, a number, and a special symbol. This gives us 72 characters that can be used in each of the 4 characters in the password, or 72 to the 4th power, which is 26,873,856. This is 2,687 times more secure and complex than using just a 4-digit PIN. So instead of using a long string of dictionary words like pencils or for writing, that would only take about 2 months to crack using a brute force attack. We could change out some of the letters for numbers and add a special character or two, such as capital P, 3, lowercase n, C, 1, L, 5, capital A, R, 3, capital F, 0, lowercase r, capital W, lowercase r, 1, T, 1, N, G, exclamation point, which would take about 15 years to crack using a brute force technique on a modern laptop. Now to demonstrate this, we're simply just going to enable the password complexity requirements. Windows has a built-in default complexity requirement that you don't have to configure specifically. So if you go to explanation, here are the rules here. Okay. All right. Third, we have to consider password reuse. Password reuse is the practice of using the same password across multiple different accounts or applications, which increases vulnerabilities because one compromised password can lead to multiple accounts being breached. You should always avoid reusing passwords across different accounts. Another way that people consider a password to be reused is if a former password is used again with the same application or website. For example, if you tried to log into Facebook this morning, but you forgot your password, you may well need to change it. Now, let's pretend your original password, which you forgot, is password 1. Well, using the password reset function, you choose a new password, and we'll call this password 2 for our example. A few weeks go by and you forgot your password again, so you reset it to password 3. Now, you really want to set your password back to password 1, but the system is designed to remember your password history and it won't let you reuse the same password, password 1 in this case, until you have changed your password at least 5 times. This is known as the password history or number of new passwords that must have been created before you can reuse an older password. I have seen many people who really want to set their password back to the same one, and what they will usually do in this situation is simply reset their password 5 times until they can rotate back to their original password. The problem with this is if the password is more than 90 days old, it has a very high chance of being cracked by an attacker. Many times, password cracking can take anywhere from 3 to 6 months, depending on the password strength. So if you recycle an old password, the attacker may have been able to crack it since you last used it, and you are now going to be vulnerable to that attack again. Now to do that, we're going to simply go to the enforced password history, and we're going to set it to the maximum, which is going to be 24. So that means that a user will have to reset their password 24 times before they can use the original password. Fourth, we have password expiration. Password expiration is a policy that requires users to change their password after a certain period. For instance, a company might have a policy that requires all employees to change their password every 90 days. When the 90-day period is up, the password expires and a new one must be set. However, this practice is being reconsidered as it often leads to poor passwords since Many people have difficulty remembering a lot of long, strong, and complex passwords, so they tend to reuse the same one across multiple sites or simply do some keyboard walking to add something to the end of some basic password. For example, you might use DionTraining1 as your first password, then DionTraining2 as your next password in 90 days, then DionTraining3 as your third password, and so on and so forth. For this reason, the National Institute of Standard and Technology, or NIST, no longer recommends password expiration policies to be implemented in most organizations unless you're already forcing the use of password managers across your organization to securely track all of your long, strong, and complex passwords for each website and application. To configure the password expiration, we're simply going to go to maximum password age, and we're just going to set it to 90 days. Fifth, we have password age. Password age refers to the length of time a password has been in use. Now, the minimum password age refers to the shortest period of time within which a user is disallowed from changing their password again after it has been changed. This policy prevents users from rapidly cycling through password changes in an attempt to revert back to their old, more familiar password. For example, without minimum password age, a user might change their password multiple times within a few minutes, effectively bypassing the system's password history and using their initial password again. By setting a minimum password age, such as 1 or a few days, organizations can ensure that once passwords are changed, they stay changed for a reasonable period, further bolstering security. This policy, combined with an enforced password history, deters users from frequently alternating between a small set of familiar passwords and encourages the adoption of newer, secure passwords over time. Now, to do that, we're going to simply configure the minimum password age. And we're going to change it to at least, just say, 3 days. So, this simply means that a user cannot change their password unless it's been 3 days. Now that we have seen the 5 different characteristics that you should consider in your organization's password policies, such as password length, password complexity, password reuse, password expiration, and password age, to help our organizations increase their overall password security, they should implement and utilize a secure password manager for their end users. Password managers are tools that store and manage all your passwords in one centralized location for you by generating a strong and unique password that then automatically fills them into a website or application for you whenever you attempt to log in. Password managers have some key features that make them an essential security tool for your organization, including password generation, autofill, secure sharing, and cross-platform access. First, we have password generation. Most password managers can generate strong, random, and unique password for each of your accounts, which helps in maintaining password complexity and avoiding password reuse. When you need to create a new password, you can specify the policy to use, such as numbers only, alphanumeric, or with special characters, along with the length and complexity requirements that the website or application requires for its passwords. Second, we have autofill. Password managers can automatically fill in your username and password when you visit a site, which can save you from the hassle of remembering and typing them in yourself. This also decreases the chance of human error. Third, we have secure sharing. If you need to share a password with someone, password managers can often do this in a secure way without revealing the password itself. For example, if I have a personal assistant and I need for them to be able to log into my email on my behalf, I could give them permissions in my password manager to log in as me, but the password manager will actually do the login in on their behalf, and it would never show them the password being used during the login process. Fourth, we have the cross-platform access. Most password managers are available across multiple devices and platforms, which ensures that you have access to your passwords wherever you are. For example, I personally use Bitwarden, and I have it installed on my laptop, my Google Chrome browser as an extension, and on my smartphone. That way, no matter where I am, I can access my passwords within Bitwarden or any device that I'm logged into. Lastly, we need to discuss passwordless authentication, which has become a very popular new method of authentication. Passwordless authentication methods are increasingly being used because they provide us with a higher level of security and a better user experience. This passwordless authentication can be achieved through biometric authentication. Some trusted password managers include 1Password, Bitwarden, and Dashlane, but there are many others on the market as well. Hardware tokens, one-time password, magic links, and passkeys. Biometric authentication uses unique biological characteristics such as fingerprints, facial recognition, or iris scans to verify identity. If you use your fingerprint or your face to authenticate or unlock a device, that would be considered biometric authentication. Hardware tokens use physical devices like a security key that generate a short duration and ever-changing login code. A one-time password, or OTP, is a code that is sent to your email or phone, which you can enter to log in. The code is usually valid for only a short period of time, maybe like 3 to 10 minutes, and it can only be used once to log in. After that, a new code will need to be requested when you want to log in again. A magic link is a link that is sent to your email. By clicking the link, you're automatically logged into that website. This link is also valid for a short period of time and can only be used once, similar to a one-time passcode. A passkey serves as an authentication tool that integrates with the browser or operating system. When set up, users are prompted to establish a passkey. Instead of remembering and typing passwords, users utilize their device's built-in security feature, such as a fingerprint sensor. When logging into a site or application, users are asked to unlock the device using the chosen method. Once unlocked, the device fetches its securely stored passkey and presents it to the site or application, verifying the user's identity and granting access. So remember, when it comes to passwords, the longer your password, the more time it will take to crack. Password complexity involves the use of a mix of letters, numbers, and special characters. You also should never reuse passwords, and each of your accounts should have its own unique password. Also, your organization should consider using a password manager to help manage your passwords effectively and explore passwordless options too, if they are available, since they provide higher security and a better overall user experience.